Alright, so turns out there's going to be a Pillars of Eternity 2. It was crowdfunded not too long ago, and I'm interested in playing it. Now, I haven't beaten Pillars of Eternity 1, this one, or the expansions yet. In fact, I haven't even played the expansions. My problem is I'm constantly restarting, trying to make new characters, trying to make the best character I can. And they're always wizards, because I like wizards. I've gotten to the point now where I can get pretty far in hard difficulty as a solo wizard. My intention now is to create a new wizard that isn't solo, perhaps a sword fighting wizard, and to play through this game and then hopefully carry over my character to the second game when it's finally released. So here's an opportunity for me to kind of share my procedure. So we're going to create a new game, going to hard difficulty because it increases the experience I gain playing through. This is important when you want to create the strongest wizard possible. And then we have the old title screen. Sure taking a while.
Five wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
Alright. So now we get to make our little wizard dude. So I'm a fella. I almost always play as human, just because I'm a human in real life. You know, this is a fantasy game, but I like to be a human in games. I get a resolve and a might. Resolve is good for looks like concentration, which is important as a wizard, and might, which is super important as a wizard, and really as anyone, because might determines your offensive capability. Meadowfolk doesn't really mean anything. All the human types are the same. I'm a wizard. So, as a sword-fighting wizard, I need spells that make it easier for me to be up close and personal and also to deal damage. I'm going to focus on buffing spells. So this will increase my accuracy. This increases my move speed and defense. Spirit Shield increases my concentration and damage reduction. Wizard's Double gives me some deflection. So these are all buffing, and I get all four of them to start with. Now here's the deal. If I sacrifice a single stat, I can pretty much max out 3 other stats. Might is super important, because almost all my spells are buffing spells, and they have a duration. Intellect increases that duration, so that's very important. I need to max out my intellect. I'll even steal this piece from Resolve. And might is pretty much capped out here at 19. 18 is actually the maximum, but because I'm a human, I get +1 to might, so that's good. as a frontline fighter, Constitution's super important. And as a wizard, Constitution does less for me than it would for a fighter, so a wizard with 10 Constitution is going to have less HP than a fighter with 10 Constitution. So I kind of want to buff that up in order just to make myself a little competitive, even though I'll never be the sort of tank in the front to soak the damage. Action speed is pretty important, but later on, once we reach level 2, there's a perk that will help me out there, so I'm not too concerned just yet. Interrupt is good, but I'm not too worried about that. We'll take some points out of that. Resolve, so concentration is the big thing about resolve here for me. I don't want to get hit by a sword and then not be able to cast my next spell. So, let's not worry about that just yet. Let's buff up our Constitution here just a little extra health. Dexterity I need. Let's not worry about interrupt, although accuracy is really important. See, here's the thing. The great thing about this game and about these stats is all of them are important no matter what kind of character you play as. So you feel really bad sacrificing from something because it's going to be important for something. Let's take some away from resolve and throw that in perception. So I've maxed out intellect as much as I can. I've maxed out might as much as I can. Real quick, let's head on ahead and change this to might, just to give me one extra might. Or actually, let's shoot for intelligence. Intellect. Intellect's important. So now I've really maxed out intellect and might here. Dexterity and perception are standard. Constitution, I have a little extra health. My resolve is lacking, but that's okay. I'm not missing out on accuracy. And my spells are going to buff the things that I'm sort of lacking here. Spirit Shield is going to give me a concentration bonus, which should help this. If I can just pop off Spirit Shield to begin with, I should be able to pull this off. And that 45 seconds, if you remember before, it was a much lower number, but because of our high intellect, this has now become 45 seconds. So good. Boom, boom. This is good. I'm going to choose Drifter. Drifter gives me a stealth and a mechanics, which is important early on for opening up a few chests and dealing with a few traps. You get experience points for doing those, and there's a finite amount of experience in this world. Because it doesn't just spawn creatures for you to fight all the time. There's a story and a real sort of living, breathing world that has a finite amount of things you can kill. And you don't even get that much experience from fighting things. Most of your experience comes from quests and little tiny things like picking locks. So let's keep that. That's pretty important. And then the usual here. Choose my colors for everything. I have a favorite portrait that I like to use. Not that guy, this guy. So, try to sort of approximate him here. Pretty close. And then none of these voices match that portrait, so no voice. And we're going to be Paul with 2 A's because I like that spelling of Paul. Paul the Wizard. Look at him. The caravan master finishes addressing the group, his bushy red mustache and sagging jowls quivering as if for emphasis.
Everybody stays close to the wagons, got it? Stay out of the woods, and beasts take you if you were planning a stroll through those ruins up there. Whole area's crawling with hut-dwelling types who'd be happy to stick an axe in you for trespassing. so mind that you don't track mud on their sacred blazing rocks. Tonight, everybody stays put, and in the morning we'll get the path cleared. Gilded Vale's less than a day out. Understood? Touch of the rumbling rot, could be. There's a stinging beetle round here, carries it. You'll be fine once it passes your innards. Unless you don't drink water, course. Which case you'll be dead in a day. There's a berry grows in these parts, small and pink, called a springberry. About the size of a fingernail. Give you cramps if you eat it, but the frontiersmen make a tea from it. Calms the insides. Should get you through the night. You might check around, see if you can find some. Meanwhile, I'll see if we can scare you up some water. I know you want to hunt before it gets much darker. But see about refilling our water first. Got a sick one here.
I've been through this part of the game a lot of times. And so I'm not going to worry about any of this stuff. It's like, hey, what are these giant rocks? What's with the ruins? Just basic lore things.
Hold on. Take someone with you. I know you're not some helpless tenderfoot. Not like most of this lot. But you drop dead, I don't want to be looking for the body. Got a schedule to keep. Kalisha. Kalisha! He needs to find some springberries. Watch that he doesn't drop dead.
No promises.
What kind of guide says something like that?
Kind you can afford.
Don't listen to her. You're in good hands. And off with you. Hayden should have supplies. See that you're equipped before you head out. We're in harsh country. Get your berries.
You heard the man. Let's get going before you keel
Alright,
over.
so we gotta go find some berries because apparently I have the rumbling rot. I don't, though. I don't really have the rumbling rot. As it turns out, I'm a watcher, which means something later on. Now, because we took that one mechanic skill, I was able to unlock this first box and get this potion. Just a couple extra gold. To start out with. Sort of scavenge up a few of the initial
Anyone
supplies.
need supplies? I've got sundries for sale.
Now, before I fart around with him, I need to search a corpse that's down here. There's nothing that can hurt me in this sort of initial area. The first mobs you fight are a little further north, and they're wolves. Now, I did this because I need that leather armor. You'll notice that my recovery speed is -40, this is -30, so it makes me a little faster. It's not as protective, but I'm a wizard. I don't need plate armor, even if I'm on the front lines. I also have the scepter. Scepters are cool, but I'm going to get a sword. So, now let's go back to that dude who's selling stuff. He is right here. Increase the speed.
Right, say, is there anything you...
Let's see what you got. Alright. Don't need plate armor. This ring, I bought all the DLCs in one go, and it gives you this sort of bonus starting items. I don't need a miniature space piglet. This ring gives me a healing ability. I consider that kind of cheating, so I sell it right away, and it gives me a whole lot of gold to start out with, which I don't mind accepting. I don't use potions. I never remember to use them. They're a bit hard to use in battle. I'm tempted to get this padded armor just so I'm a little faster, but I think the leather's a good balance. I need a sword. I'm not going to bother with a shield, because I kind of like the look of having a sword in one hand and a book in the other. So do that, keep the lockpicks, and yeah, that's everything. So now if I check out my inventory, I can equip the sword. I should maybe get rid of the scepter, but I suppose it doesn't hurt to have a ranged weapon just in case. So that's me. I'll do that. It's a little easier to see. Nothing in my stash. Okay. Now just to sort of test myself out, let's get me up here to fight these wolves. I'm just gonna do it solo and see if I can. Oh. Should have saved there. Alright. Well, first things first. Spirit Shield. That got cast. 40 deflection until hit. I'm going to get hit pretty much immediately, so that's not going to do much for me, except for that first hit. And I get some deflection from Spirit Shield. Actually, damage reduction, never mind. Accuracy... yeah. Let's queue this up now. Good. I'm not dying. This is probably the least squishy mage I've ever made. So let's fight this guy. One hit. Pretty good. I'm not getting distracted. Let's just use a little magic for good measure. Fight this guy. Go. Fight done. Let's take some wolf pelts. Go over here and pick the spring berries. Now, cutscene. And this is the part of the game, in fact the only part of the game, where your background really has anything to do with anything. Kalisha here tries to force you into having some sort of backstory, which is fine if the backstory is presented are the ones you want, but if not, you can just say this isn't your business and nobody cares. So, I'm a drifter. I'm not an orphan. I don't steal money from people, although later on I'm going to develop the cruel trait, because it gives you an opportunity to sacrifice one of your companions for a stat. And when you're trying to create the most powerful character in a game, you can't be squeamish about sacrificing your companions. People are looking for me. No one's looking for me, so it's none of your business, Kalisha. Do you want to settle in the city? Up ahead? No. I don't care. I have no idea what I'm doing. Goodbye. Let's get back to camp. So, now, let's gather up a few resources real quick. Now we need to head down to the water. And we're going to get ambushed by a bunch of the hut dwellers, according to our caravan driver fella. First of all...
What a surprise. Sparful Wentz is recent. Not good.
Shh. Grab this gun. Oh, it's gold. It must be good. No, it's not. It's called the Disappointer. It's really bad. It's not a good gun. Wow. Beer. Quaff that real quick when we get back up to camp. So, crouch at the riverbank, get the water. Oh look, it's Sparful! Yay! Oh, he doesn't seem so good.
Sparful? Are you alright?
And he's dead. It was an ambush.
Ambush!
Yep, that's what I said. Alright, Kalisha. You need to be aggressive. Be aggressive. And attack this fella. That's your job. In fact, knock him down, then attack him. I, on the other hand, I have no spells, so I am just going to run at the hunter and do that. Yeah.
What you need?
I need you to fight him. Good, good.
Come on, we have to get back to camp.
Not until we collect all the loot. The loot is good. Okay, everybody, let's go. Do some sneaking. There's a few more guys up here. Now, because there's two guys here, I'll use my AoE ability twice. And go for the Huntress. I need to be aggressive too. Don't use those. Whoa! Okay. Okay. Pretty easy so far. Usually when I'm the squishy mage, Kalisha here does all the work. But I've got some decent HP, so I can actually get in the thick of it until we see a dragon. In which case, that will not be happening. So, all right, Paul, drink the beer. There you go. Get in here. Oh no, he's got the guy. He's got the guy I was buying stuff from. That's not good. Well, I can use my guy's big brain in order to save him briefly. This is whole what is this called? This is philosophy 101 stuff. Is this consistent with their beliefs, or is it because of what you were told? Yada yada yada. Alright. Because I clicked those things in the correct order, and because I had the high intelligence stat, this guy right here, Hyoden, he has no damage done to him. He's good. If I would have messed up, he would have been raked across the chest with a sword, and he'd be wounded right now, and it would also make him die a little earlier on in the later part of the game. But he's gonna die anyway. So's Kalisha. They're not gonna last. And I can't do anything about that without cheating. So, Hyoden, we need to get you some AI here. You are going to be aggressive. You're going to use per rest abilities because, let's face it, you're not going to live long enough to rest. You're going to be aggressive. And you're going to immediately blind the leader. Kalisha, you're going to immediately knock down the leader. I am going to just attack, and then once I get close enough, and if there's a group of people, I'll use my AoE ability. So press Control, no, Tab, so I can see everyone's health, and let's get going. Crap. Well, everything seems to be working out well. Speed things along. Come on, Hyoden, you can't die. It's not time yet. Okay, everyone. Attack. And it's done. Oh no. This thing, called a Bioac, which is bad and kills everyone who experiences it. But we're gonna make it, right? There's no way this is gonna kill us. Yep. Totally making it. Totally not dying. Oh no! Hyoden! He's being pulled to the ground. I can throw my weapon. I like my weapon. I'm not throwing my weapon. I could, if I had a high enough dexterity, I could have threw a rock. But I don't. So, the benefit of saving Hyoden here is an extra body to fight once we get inside the dungeon. And also I get his loot once he dies for real at that point. I can just sell that. But I'd rather have a sword in the dungeon than not have a sword in the dungeon and have Hyoden, because he just has a dagger and the money isn't worth it. So he's going to try to break free on his own, and of course he's not going to be able to. He's dead.
That was... We should be dead.
That was a
We
Biowick,
can't stay here.
and you are
There
going
could
to
be
die. So, gotta go up here.
We have to be careful in here. Place has been open to the wilds for a couple thousand years. Might be a lot of vermin taking shelter here.
I could ask her a lot of questions, but I don't care to. I've already asked her all those questions in a previous life.